Hey, it's Davo. I know my channel is gardening and other things. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to sleep and I'm struggling, and I'm sad. I'm actually really sad. And before I say why I'm sad, I want to explain something. I grew up piano when I was really young, and then when I got a little bit older, 8, 9 years old, so we're talking 78, 79, I said I want to play guitar. Friends were playing guitar because their parents let them. I saw my friend John Norman play guitar and his brothers, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so incredible. Also, the Van Halen album came out in 78, Van Halen 1, and anyone that heard Eruption was like, how is that possible? So this isn't another Van Halen video, although we lost Eddie not that long ago, and that was a gut shot. That was a couple weeks of me just not being me because I was just so bummed. And it was not that I knew Eddie, but I believe in a really kind of weird way he spoke to all of us through his music, right? Because that was his thing, and that's how he communicated to masses is through the music and the songs and all the stuff he did, But I don't want to make this about him. Why am I sad today? Ozzy passed, and I'm not going to say I was a number one fan of Ozzy. At least not of late. In the 80s, obviously everyone liked him more back then, but how I was introduced to him is I had a guitar teacher. He still taught guitar from not that long ago at Victor Litz Music in Gaithersburg. The guy's name was John Zahn. A lot of guys in my high school took lessons from him. Junior high, even elementary school, we were all taking lessons from this John Zahn guy. An insanely good local guitarist around here. And, we would always have our scales and note learning and ear training, but then we'd always have a piece that we wanted to play, and it was always rock and roll. And the rock and roll back in those days, we had a pretty wide range to choose from, but trying to play Van Halen when you're trying to learn how to play guitar is like trying to learn mountain climbing on Everest, right? You just don't go there in the beginning. You get a few other mountains, in our case, a few other songs under your belt, and then you go for some of that stuff. Although some of the Van Halen songs weren't that bad, but just so happens to be we learned Ozzy songs from our teachers in the beginning. And I had more than one guitar teacher, but I just remember John the most. And learning Crazy Train, was one of the rites of passage. And I'd go to school and everyone else is playing Crazy Train on guitar. Most of the times we weren't playing it right, but if it sounded close enough, your friends thought it was cool. And this is how 7, 8, 9-year-old guitarists back then got started. And there were other songs too that we learned. Not till much later on did we learn the acoustical D song that Randy Rhoads did. And, originally Ozzy had Randy Rhoads until like 82, I think, is when Randy Rhoads passed away. So we were listening to the original Ozzy. Black Sabbath, Zeppelin, of course, is all in there. But the original Ozzy we were learning had Randy Rhoads, and then I think he got Jakey Lee, and then he got Zakk Wylde. But these songs, they were great songs, and I'm sure Ozzy's got tons of Grammys. I don't know how many, but his music is popular and it's played all over the world, even to this day. I know a lot of sports arenas, when they want to get the crowd pumped up, they'll play Crazy Train. And the song's been used in so many things, it's ridiculous. So, the music was very inspirational for people learning to play guitar back then, electric guitar especially. It stood the test of time, as it still does. And it was, I saw Ozzy in concert a couple times. So I really enjoyed the shows. They were really good. They were high energy, high performance rock and roll shows, which is what we were all about back then at that time. I know Ozzy had these crazy antics, the bat head getting bit off and all that, and beating up birds or whatever he was doing. Most of us looked at that as just, it's another way to get publicity, another way to draw stuff into your act. I don't think the majority of us ever thought Ozzy was a devil worshiper, that he was satanic. Yeah, he did all that stuff, but nobody really took it that seriously, I guess. Or at least a lot of people I know didn't. They just thought of it as one more way to make your parents say don't listen to that music, which of course makes teenagers run out and buy the album as soon as we're not supposed to listen to the music anymore. So you know, I really like that he came out with the Osbournes reality show. A lot of people say he founded reality television with that, just to show that he was a normal British guy, right, with a lot of fame, a music background. He was quirky, but show me a really famous musician that wasn't quirky. I mean, look at the Freddie Mercury biopic movie, which I loved. I counted down the days till that film was released. I even a year ahead of time, I said if Rami Malek does that role well, he'll get an Oscar for it. Go figure. But you know, I think what's going to be interesting in the future is now I think we'll probably have an Ozzy movie. I know there was a Motley Crue TV thing, and they showed Ozzy a little bit and a couple crazy antics, but I'm looking forward to the true Ozzy Osbourne movie. And I'm gonna miss him, and it's sad, and I feel older by having outlived Ozzy, which, you know, you just don't ever think these bigger than life heroes that you grew up worshiping for different reasons, right? We worshiped him for his musical abilities, not the crazy antics. And then later on, we realized, you know, he's a nice guy, and we were right. A lot of it was just crazy antics. Not that he was your average normal person, because he never was that, but he wasn't a satanic madman at all. Nothing even close. He just knew how to stoke the media to get the attention, to draw people into his music and his shows. And I think a lot of us, once we got there and we started listening to the music and the songs, we appreciated it for what it was. It was good music. It was good rock music. Catchy tunes, catchy riffs. And I know I'm a big dude. Everyone says tough. And I'm not like a wimpy guy or anything like that. I don't go out looking for trouble anymore. I'm too old now. But, you know, I was a little hellraiser in my day, years, decades ago. But, you know, what I can say is, as tough as anyone might think I am, when I heard of his death and I went onto YouTube and I started watching Crazy Train and a couple of the other videos, I teared up. I really did. Because I was like, oh my gosh, so much of my childhood time, parties I went to, driving in different cars I owned. We always had a mixtape, because that's what we had back then, with Ozzy songs on it, with Van Halen and Zeppelin and all of them. But, you know, the Ozzy stuff was a staple in your rock mixtape back in the day. So, you know, my heart goes out to Sharon, his son, you know, and the rest of his family for this loss. It is a tragic loss. And I think I posted on Reddit somewhere. I was a little upset that the British news today opened with the death of Ozzy. It took to about dinner time for our news media, our major news media, to actually start covering it. I was really happy with the Tom Yamas News Nightly, whatever, opened with Ozzy has passed. And I just think, despite all the craziness and stuff that was said about him, he was an amazing musician, an amazing and interesting person, misunderstood to a degree, but he's going to be missed by me and I think millions of others. So this is my R.I.P. Ozzy. You know, I believe he went to heaven. I don't think he was an evil person, and I send my thoughts and condolences out to the family, and I'm just happy I got to experience his music in my life. And that's about it. Just wanted to make this video to say what's keeping me up so late tonight. And that's about it. Thank you for watching.